Hi guys, it's Taylor, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my biggest book haul ever, my September 2018 book haul. So, I not only went used book shopping, Barnes & Nobles was having a huge book haul blowout sale, so I went there and I picked up some books, and then I ordered some books from Amazon, and I also bought some when I was shopping at Target. Also, I got an audiobook. It's a lot. And I'm probably not going to ever do a haul this big again unless it's Christmas or the month of my birthday or maybe Easter when I usually get presents, just because it was a little irresponsible of me and I went a little too buck wild with the shopping. So it's going to be long enough, so let's not waste any time and get started. Let's start with my bag o' books. These aren't all from Barnes & Nobles. We're going to actually start with the used books I got. So let's do that. I picked up Three Nights with a Scoundrel by Tessa Dare. This is, I don't know which series it's part of, but I did read Any Duchess Will Do by Tessa Dare earlier this month, and I just had to pick it up. This book was only $1, so there was no way for me to say no. Next up, I got Hold Me Closer, Necromancer by Lish McBride. This book was $5.50 at the used bookstore, and I'm very happy with how pretty it looks. I don't know much about this. I know it's a comedy about, I think he's like a fry cook. Yeah, he works at a fast food restaurant, and one day he finds out he's a necromancer, and now he's in a war with like a rival necromancer, and it's supposed to be really funny. And I wasn't going to pick it up until I read on Goodreads that this title, Hold Me Closer, Necromancer, is meant to go to the tune of Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer, or Tiny Dancer by Elton John. Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer, Hold Me Closer, Necromancer. So obviously I had to buy it. Next up, I got Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. This book is a fantasy series about three sisters who are princesses, and they're supposed to like inherit the throne, except they have to battle and only one person can become queen, and all the other sisters have to die. They have to be killed in this battle. So I assume a lot of family drama is involved in this. I've seen this a lot on BookTube, and I'm excited to get around to it. This was also $5.50, by the way. Next up, I got The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This was also $5.50, and I don't know much about this series. I know it's a fantasy, and it's about a runaway bride, and I've seen this get a lot of hype on BookTube, and I'm excited to get to this series. Next up, I've got Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This book is a gothic novel, and it's also the basis for Alfred Hitchcock's only film to ever win an Oscar, which is kind of a tragedy in my opinion. But I love the movie, so I wanted to give the book a shot. This book is about an unnamed protagonist who marries this wealthy man, and she goes to his manor, Manderley, and he's a widower, and all she ever hears about from his staff and anyone who knows him is Rebecca this, Rebecca that. Rebecca was his first wife, and she's described as like the most beautiful, clever, accomplished woman in the world, and the main character just can't compare. And eventually these comparisons start to pick away at her mental health. I got this book for $9, but it was originally $16. Next up, I got The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is the second book in the Broken Earth series. I bought this at the used bookstore for $7.50, and my original plan was to read the first book in September and this one in October, but dreams don't always come true, and I didn't, so I would like to get to this soon. Next up, I got Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I don't know much about this. I believe it's about rival like magicians or sorcerers, and I hear a lot of good things about it. It's really big, but it was $5.50 at Book Off, and I'd like to get to it probably next year. Probably don't have any time for it this year, but I do want to get to it. This was also $5.50, just so you know. Next up, we've got the books I bought at Barnes & Nobles. The first book I picked up was Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This is the first book in the Imperium trilogy. I don't know much about this book. I know it's about two female protagonists, and they live at completely different times, and it kind of weaves their story together even though they live like centuries apart. And I love stories like that. It kind of reminds me of Cloud Atlas almost. So I'm excited to get to this fantasy series. Next up, we've got Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. I will link my review of this book somewhere in this video. But if you know anything about this book, I absolutely loved it. I finished it in 2 days. Ooh, a beetle just flew right into the window. Gross. Oh, it did it again. Oh, it's horrible. This book is about a girl named Mara and her twin brother, who she loves more than anything else in the world, is accused of raping her friend Hannah. And even though Mara is always quick to believe the victim, she has to kind of cope when her beliefs are sort of put into question. You know, does she believe the brother she's always loved, or her morals in the victim? It's a very fascinating book, and I absolutely loved it. When I finished the book, I was just weeping. So, buy this book. Next up, we've got A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. This book is something I've seen a lot on BookTube, and I do want to get to it because it looks like a wonderful read, and I love that the two characters are black. It's about this med student living in America, and she keeps getting these emails from this African prince, and obviously she believes it's a scam, but it turns out her prince really exists, and he wants to marry her, and it sounds like a really cute, really cheesy love story that I absolutely need right now. Next up, we've got Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know I hated this book. Usually, I'm a pretty go-with-the-flow person. The books that most of the people like on BookTube, I end up liking, and I'm not ashamed of that. My tastes usually tend to align with what's popular, and I know that's kind of uncool now, but that's just how I roll. This book, I can't even talk about it because I don't want to spoil the review that I'm currently working on for you guys. That is going to take up most of my editing skills because I don't want it to be a whole hour. So this book is marketed as a feminist pirate story, and kind of marketed as fantasy even though it's not. And it's these women who are on a pirate ship, and they are trying to get revenge on this warlord named Eric, and he has two of the main characters' brothers, and I don't care. This book was so bad. Don't read it. How does it have 4 stars on Goodreads? Big waste of money. I'm literally unhauling this once I finish the review. I'm donating it because maybe someone else will get some joy out of this terrible, terrible book. Next up, we've got City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is a middle grade book, and it's about a girl who I believe had a near-death experience, and she can speak to ghosts, and her parents are ghost hunters, so it looks really cute. I love books about ghosts, and it's definitely going to be an October read for me. I also picked up Pride by Ibi Zoboi. This is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. Just like Jane Austen discusses class differences in her version of the novel, this book talks about gentrification and class differences, and both of our main characters are people of color. I really wanted to love this book. However, it had a couple of glaring flaws, including a very big misunderstanding of the character of Lizzie Bennet. So because of that, I believe I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was still very good, and I did really like it. Next up, we've got The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. This is the Target edition, hence the tag here that you absolutely cannot remove. It is integral to the cover of the book. Just kidding, it's really annoying, and I hate that it's over the bicep. But this book is about, I guess, a governess who's trying to, like, tame this man or something, like a duke. And I don't know much about it, but I think I might read it pretty soon. I'm kind of in the mood for a romance after most of the garbage I read this month. And finally, we've got Endless Quest: Escape the Underdark by Matt Forbeck. This is a sort of Dungeons & Dragons based choose-your-own-adventure story. I found it in Target, and it seemed really cool. I love Dungeons & Dragons. I love Dungeons & Dragons podcasts, and Fighter is my favorite class in D&D. So I'm excited to do this little choose-your-own-adventure book that looks like it'll maybe take a day to get through. So I'm excited to have this. So that was my massive September book haul. Probably won't be seeing any as big as they were this month. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments down below, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.